If you ask Claude Code or Cursor or whatever agent you're using to write you a connector for some API, it'll probably have something workable in a minute or two. This kind of thing has always been busy work, but it still would take a morning to build and test in the old days. And the connector AI builds will probably be pretty good. Most APIs have good docs or a YAML or OpenAPI spec, so the agent knows what to do to write the client and map the fields. So it's not unreasonable for people to see something like this and think that it's a miracle cure and AI can just build all of their integrations from here on out. But as I've said on here probably too many times, that's a big overstatement of what's happened, because what you have at this point is a file running on your laptop or a dev server running against a test account or two when it's told to do so. A real full picture of an integration is that code running for loads of customers, whether it's during work hours or whether you're sitting on a beach with a pina colada. AI is ultimately supposed to be taking things off of our plate, but we should know what was on the plate to begin with. If you ask the manager of an integration dev team what it does, they'll probably mainly talk about writing code. But if you ask the devs, the list will be a lot longer. Somebody has to figure out an auth scheme they've never seen before. It has to get deployed for every customer and configured differently for each one because everyone weirdly seems to name their fields something different. Maybe the API changes one day and nobody knows, or a connection dies quietly, and the first you hear about it is a support ticket, which you're reading with an unfinished pina colada in your hand. The actual business logic that AI just wrote for you is usually the easiest thing on that list. And look, I'm not saying AI isn't an extremely powerful tool. It takes a lot of things off of that plate. It'll read an open API spec faster than you. It'll build a connector for some niche vertical app that nobody outside of your customer's industry has ever heard of. It's good at data mapping. It'll alleviate the nightmare of scrolling through a stack trace, etc., etc. So that's a big, real chunk of time all devs used to need to spend during a work week, and we now type less and decide more. Where AI starts to hit its limits is structural, not a matter of it getting better. It writes code for the scenario you give it, and when you tell it about the other 499 scenarios, it'll write code that accounts for them. But something still has to be storing those configs and running them. The retries and token refreshes are infrastructure, which has to be running at all times. So could AI write credential storage? Of course, but that's solved once, not per integration. Does it understand Kubernetes? Better than me for sure, but it still can't be your cluster. And nobody asks AI to rebuild Kubernetes before they deploy a web app. We were always going to get here, but embedded iPaaS is an option to solve all of those things at once, because it's made for B2B SaaS, where your integrations run inside your product separately for each of your customers. And that gives us a pretty clean division of labor, where AI handles what's different each time, the business logic, the field mapping for the customer, the weird random field name, and the platform handles what's the same every time for 5 customers or 500 customers. And what's left is for us humans to decide what to build in the first place and what done actually means for each customer. And so I work at Prismatic, which is an embedded iPaaS, so I'm biased, but any embedded iPaaS worth its salt should address this stuff in some way. And we do several things to make sure AI can spend its time on what it's genuinely good at. So we have an MCP server and a set of skills, meaning the agent doesn't burn time guessing at our SDK, it's writing the real patterns from the jump. Deployment we took away from it entirely. One integration serves lots of customers, and the per-tenant plumbing is just there. Nobody's asking AI to write it. And a token expiring never becomes a code problem in the first place. Support handles it in the UI, and importantly, you get to finish that pina colada for better or worse. So none of that makes AI smarter exactly, it just gives it a clean focus. So if the idea comes up of just having AI write all of your integrations, or you're weighing building it yourself against buying a platform, there's 3 questions worth asking. 1, does it speed up writing the integration? 2, does it still help at customer number 145? And 3, when something breaks, can it fix it? Claude Code, Cursor, any of them, and you'll get a yes on the first one and no's on the other 2. But that's just because those aren't the problems that they were built to solve. I've got some links below that go more into depth on this, including a blog post that this was based on, so please check those out, and thanks for watching.